Hello everyone, welcome to Chess Visor. In today's video, I am going to show you the game played between Magnus Carlsen and Mikhail Golubev. And it was from the titled cup, it was from 3rd March one. And yeah, without much delay, let's get started. With the white pieces, so Magnus starts the game with a 1 e4 and we have c5 by Mikhail Golubev. And here after this move, he plays a3 and then g6 and then h4. So if you look at this position at the database, there are around 31 games from this position. Interestingly, Shakariar Mamadou is one of the super grandmasters currently, and he actually played the same opening against Magnus Carlsen and he beat him. And the same opening was actually played by Magnus in 2018, and the same idea is being played in this game, and he is totally disrespecting the senior grandmaster. Why is disrespecting? Because you know the principles. Who cares about the principles? The opening principles are in general the chess principles. If you look at Magnus's game, especially when he plays the blitz, he doesn't care about anything. So let's check the game and how the game progresses. So h5. So he stops the pawn advance further. Already black is kind of better because of this h4 a3 advance. But you cannot win this game just by looking at this pawn structure. Okay, I'm better, I'm going to win the game. No, it is not like that. Let's see. Bishop g7, he develops. Knight c3, knight c6, and then knight f3. E6, trying to break or trying to form a great center by playing pawn to d5. That is a dream move for any Sicilian player. Knight to g5, taking advantage of the fact that the h pawn is advanced well enough. Knight f6, preparing the move pawn d5 in the next move. So who cares that? So he plays pawn d3 and then pawn to d5 anyway. Bishop a2 and then castles. We have d takes e4, knight c takes e4, and now he's threatening to capture on c5. So in this position, already the game is kind of neutralized because Magnus has no problem in this position. You cannot punish him because of his the a3 and h4. What is your competition? If you ask, there is no. There is no competition at all. So he plays knight takes e4. Instead of that, he could have waited with this move like pawn to b6, because now he attacks the pawn. Why not we play this move, and also it is going to help your bishop to get developed into the game. So he could have tried that. In case if he plays that, or if black tries that move, white could simply capture or allow white to capture the knight, and then bishop f6, queen f3, bishop b7, and then game continues. Black has slight edge because he has a great control on the, what do you say, the d4 square. Magnus is also trying to control a few squares in the center of the board, but that is not going to help him much. So in this position, so going back in the game, he plays knight takes e4 and then knight takes e4, and now he plays pawn b6, trying to get the bishop into the game. And also now the pawn is being attacked. So bishop g5, gaining some time. It is not only gaining some time on the queen, it is actually is provoking the pawn to come forward and create the weakness around the king. So after bishop dropping to f4, he plays king h7, defending g6, pawn to b4, trying to go on the queen side, or it is like Magnus is actually setting up a sneaky trap in this position. If you pause the video and you can try it, because once you see this move on board pawn to b4, your tempting mind would say to play this move pawn to f5, right? But if you play that move, you are losing the game. It's because you are actually giving the discovery. But the problem is, before you care about the rook, we have this in between move, that is knight g5 check, and the king is forced to move back. And then once the rook moves to b1, there is a problem going on e6 square. So this is a great problem, and you cannot defend that. If you want to defend it, you're gonna or your position is going to get worse, because rook e1, queen f6, and then queen f3, c6 is hanging. If you put the bishop on d7 to defend it, I can sack that knight anyway, because after, if you take, say for example takes, I can take with the rook first, putting your rook in the pin, and then I can take on c6, threatening the rook. So we can go down that line. So and then if you play rook f8, the problem is I can simply take. So this is a great blunder. You cannot even use the rook to defend. That is the beauty of this tactics. So you have to go rook f8, and then I can simply take on e6 or queen takes e6. So this is a completely winning position for white. You have a piece of, for what do you say, black doesn't have any enough compensation to show. So going back in this position, that is why, understanding, even though it's a blitz game, so he didn't fall for this trick. So he plays pawn e5, kicking the bishop further. So bishop drops back to d2, c takes b4, a takes b4, and then he plays bishop to g4. So just gains the time, but he plays f3, pushes the bishop back. So bishop f5, and then pawn to b5, kicking the knight away. The knight goes to the center, knight to d4, bishop to b4, kicking or attacking the rook, and then rook moves away, rook to h8, because sometimes later in the game, white is trying to break in or trying to insert this move where the file is going to open up, and you want to have the rook along the h file combined with this queen move. So this is actually a long time idea for black. Let's see, pawn to g4 anyway. So bishop takes e4, and then f takes e4. So after f takes e4, here he plays knight takes b5. This is the first and last mistake of the game, I would say, because after this game, there was no turning back, or there was no chance for black to come into the game, because Magnus easily spots the mistake and he punished that. So knight takes b5 is a mistake, and we will see why it's a mistake. But in the game, if you ask what could be the best move or the right way to continue the game, you could simply play queen to d7, trying to add more pressure on this point. And if you do so, say for example, white should not take this pawn. Okay, if you take, the file is going to get open, or the queen h3 is coming, and you are inviting trouble yourself. So white needs to play something like pawn c3, and then knight takes b5, and then g takes h5, and then game continues. So here in the game, he plays knight takes b5, and now it's a mistake. Why it's a mistake? Let's see. He plays bishop to d5. The right way, or the best way to immediately act to simply capture on h5 actually. But in the game, he plays bishop d5, just gains the time, because now we have still time to take on h5. And also the bishop d5 move is actually connected with activating the rook. Okay, you cannot actually simply attack the king with only one piece, right? So you need a more force. So imagine the rook on the 7th rank. So this is the this like this move is actually kind of helping that idea. So bishop d5, he plays knight c7. So, and then after bishop takes 8, he sacks the exchange, and then queen to d4 check for winning the bishop back with a fork. So queen takes b4, and then bishop comes back. So after bishop c6, he plays queen to c5, and now bishop a4, and now the bishop is going to go b3. Knight to e6, covering the light square weaknesses, and also the knight is coming to the f4 square, obviously. So g takes h5, and now he plays that move, knight f4 check, and now Magnus sacks the exchange back. After e takes f4, he plays h takes g6, the in-between check, king h6, and then he plays queen g4, queen to e3, and now you have to defend the 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 f file. So he plays rook f1, and then pawn to b5, and this is like this move is doing nothing actually. He simply takes and asks what you're gonna do. So rook plays to c8, looking to go to the c2 square or capture c2, and he blocks it with the bishop c4. And here in this position, if you see the position clearly, you can see that rook is actually kind of undefended, or it is completely undefended, but you cannot touch the rook. It's tactically protected. If you take the rook, you're gonna draw the winning game actually. Say for example, if you take it simply, there is a forcing sequence which black can use to draw the game by repetition. King h1, take on h4, king g2, g3 check, king h1, and then queen h4. So you repeat and get the draw. So that's why in this position there is no hurry to capture the rook. So he plays bishop c4, and anyway he cuts off the rook's eyes. And here Golubev simply takes on c4, or he sacks the exchange for the second time. So d takes e4, but it is not going to help him, because as you can see, after queen takes e4 check, he plays king h3, and after queen e3 check, he blocks it with the rook, and now there is no compensation for the exchange sack again. The bishop is not going to help you because of this pass pawn, or the strong pass pawn. And also in the game, he played pawn to f5, trying to give the counter attack, but it actually blunders mate in one. So he plays queen g5, checkmate over the board. Going back in this position, if you think about exchanging the queens, white doesn't have to exchange. Say for example, even exchanging the queens also going to win the game, because the bishop cannot stop this pass pawn. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this quick review of this game, and let me know your ideas, thoughts in the comment section below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and still if you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to it. As usual, this is Chess Wiser, your wise choice to improve your chess.